I've been working a lot lately, getting a lot of work, which is really good, of course, but it has also left me with very little time and energy. I don't even have like time or energy to watch the movies that I really want to, and there's a lot of those. It's driving me a little crazy. But I also wanted to make a video today because it's been a couple, and yeah, I didn't know what to do. I still don't even know where this video is going to go in terms of direction. I mean, even by my very loose standards of structure, this is going to, go all over the place. Because I was thinking of all these, because I have a long list of video ideas I want to make, and just looking at all of them and thinking of others, and I was just thinking, all of these, just their very idea is exhausting to me right now. And that's because I would actually have to, use my brain and, analyze and all that other stuff. And I was thinking, what can I do? So I decided, you know what, I'm just going to take a stroll to the tournament section and see what happens. I have my 2 starting point replays, and we'll see where it goes from there. So yeah, I really don't know where this is going to go, and I'm sure it'll be interesting. Yeah, you know what's fun, actually? I was thinking of Pokemon even just like an hour or so ago when we were wrapping up for the day. And lately I've been around of people who throw around the word slay. Just like, oh, how much setup time do we still have? Oh, like 2 minutes. Oh, slay. And I thought that was really funny. And yes, I'm out of touch because I don't have TikTok or anything like that. I thought it was hilarious. So, the last few weeks I've been semi-ironically incorporating slay into my vocabulary. Ironic isn't the right word for it. It's more like being silly, being goofy. Because, whenever it's ironic, it's too like, oh, I'm above this, and I like being a goofball. So I've been, in my, never-ending efforts to be as dumb as possible, then I started making variations of slay. Slaytastic was my favorite, one of those. And then I mentioned that to my friend today, who's in tune with these kinds of things, and she was like, "Oh yeah, people don't say slay anymore." Not as, and I was like, "What? I've heard it like so many times this summer." No, it's starting to become like old. It's not in anymore. People are saying fire now, and the light bulb that went on in my head, I was like, "No, that is not a young person thing." I didn't say this next part out loud, but you know how instantly I had all these memories of Pokemon players online calling every play made fire. Oh my god, he got up rocks, that's so fire. That was in my head. So I gave her a very stern lecture about how fire is, from my generation, and it's being appropriated by the younger ones now, claiming it for themselves. Ridiculous. Yeah, so that was really fun. Anyway, speaking of fire, this is actually from Fire's heyday, or the original heyday. I don't know if it's coming back now, but this is March 12th, 2017. And it's from SPL, God, what number was it? 8? Yeah, 8. So, SPL 8 or 2017 or whatever you want to call it. This is maybe my favorite SPL ever, because I was on the best SPL team ever that was then robbed by horrible cheating. And like unprecedented cheating. I have, if you want the full details, I have a video called "The Greatest Cheating Scandal in Competitive Pokemon History" or something like that. And yeah, that's about what it was. That's what it was about, rather. But it's from the same tournament, before any of that stuff was starting to come to people's attention. And this was just in the middle of the Team Raiders' dominance over everyone else. It was the first Gen 7 SPL. Just a couple months after release, and it was interesting in all sorts of ways. Oh, I wasn't planning on giving such a history. I'm just gonna click the replays, see what happens. Yeah, so TDK was my teammate. He was on Raiders with me, and he was just on fire in this period. He was defining Gen 7 like anyone else. Advantage used to go by a different name. Oh my god. Sorry about that. Yeah, Advantage used to go by a different name, which I play tennis, LOL? I think that was it. Yeah. So early Sun and Moon was wild. Lots of Alolan Marowak because of stall, and then Dugtrio started running Pursuit. So yeah, look at TDK's team. It's Sun Trick Room. Isn't that utterly insane? In the best way. He's gonna set up Sun and rocks with Torkoal, and then Specs Eruption Heatran's gonna come in and destroy things. Oh no, the sand cut off the Sun. What could possibly go wrong here? Does this have Will-O-Wisp or something? He's gonna like Wisp and then burn, and then Torkoal's gonna dominate the Hippo one-on-one. Oh, it's faster. God, Torkoal's slow. Oh, he just spun. Okay. Oh, to get rid of the T-Spikes. Genius TDK. Well, that's perfect because he's got Lunar Dance Crest, so even if the Hippo gets rocks up, then... Did the Hippo have rocks? Surely it did. Yeah, it did. But then he can get up Sun again. He has P2 on this team. I wonder why. Probably because Eviolite means it like counters Greninja, because it's bulky. But he's got Download on it. He doesn't even have Trace. It's just so it's actually an offensive threat. Using Porygon 2 as an offensive threat in OU. How awesome. Oh, look, there's the Spectran. Oh, I think... Yeah, I think what happens is that TDK fakes Scarf with the Eruption Tran, and then it's really Specs under Trick Room later. That's what happens, I think. Yeah, he was on fire. Oh, Mega Chomp. Cool. I'm just noticing that there's a Swellow on Advantage's team. Now, I know early Sun and Moon was pretty wild, but that was intense. I don't know why I said intense. Probably because I've been in a very intense psychological state all day while practicing artistry. Speaking of artistry, Torkoal's gonna get up Sun, and it's going to permanently spin away the rocks now. Oh my god, genius TDK. Yeah, rocks are permanently off now, and the T-Spikes will be off, at least temporarily. Crest is down, so the... Oh wait, no, I know what happens. The Torkoal's gonna blow up on the Chomp to get free entry for the Heatran. That's awesome. Cool. Yeah, it's been a long time, but yeah, TDK was a big reason why the Raiders were as good as they were. He was one of our leaders. And look, Spectran just gonna come in and... Oh, look at this, look at this, look at this. Oh, that was... Oh, that was not as much damage as I was expecting, actually. I was really expecting it to just get deleted for some reason. Oh, that's it, that's it, that's it. That's what I was forgetting. Oh, that's beautiful. Look at that. Z Eruption. You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of the Boondocks when Riley's having that dream that he's in the NBA All-Star game and he just like shatters the glass during the dunk contest. And the announcer's so great during. He's like, look at this, look at this, look at this. That's how I felt just now. Oh, he stayed on the Pheromosa because he knows that Marowak is a hard counter. Wonderful. The Swellows are about to get deleted. Wow, I don't even know how many Swellows that KO'd. Yeah. That was Yao Ming getting dunked on by Riley. So here comes Pheromosa, Inca. Oh my, look, he did it again. He did it again. Yeah, it's like, BKC, do you want to analyze the battle? No. Go to hell. Look at that Celesteal getting destroyed. It's not even full health Eruption and it's deleting everything. Isn't that just beautiful? Oh. I feel bad, but you know, this is years removed, but look at the chat. Advantage is going. Oh, I just realized Chomp. Yeah. TDK messed with him a little too. I don't even remember what team Advantage was on, but you know, the Raiders were way ahead of everyone else because they were, you know, they dominated so hard the first couple weeks that I actually don't remember how that works, and I don't think I have the brain power to figure it out. No, I think isn't it better when like one team runs away with the league because that means because they're always beating like other teams, so that means there's less competition for those other 3 slots. I don't remember. I remember people saying something like that, like, oh, whenever there's a far and away #1 team, then that's actually good. It improves your playoff chances because, I don't know, someone who knows more about that can enjoy. Anyway, here comes the Chomp. What remix is this that I've got playing? Champion Ethan / Lyra. This it's gonna take some scrolling but I have a playlist called New Background Music on my channel if you like. I mean, it's a great one. Goodness. Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna take some scrolling, but I generally don't know what's playing during the. First of all, I don't notice it. Second of all, you know, I don't recognize it because there's over 400 videos in there by now. But yeah, if you like it, then good luck. Magirna comes in. It's going to Trick Room, and then... Can Marowak win? Marowak is so cool. I love a little Marowak. I know Gen 7 in-game gets some grief from people. I don't know why. It's like, oh, there's lots of cutscenes. It's like, watch the movie. God. I know you want to, participate. That's, what video games do. It's part of the gameplay and everything. But, yeah, I didn't mind. And I really liked it. I really liked the setting, the atmosphere, the creative spin on everything. I really enjoyed it. And then I liked Ultra Sun and Moon as well. I thought it was excellent in the same vein as Black and White 2, which are also fantastic games. Oh, well, this is a Driftvale City remake. That's great. So the second replay is also TDK, also from 2017, from World Cup Finals, because he was also one of the leaders on the old East team before they split us up for killing everybody for so many years. And, yeah, TDK was great. And this is Sticky Web. Actually, it's more than just Sticky Web. It's Sticky Web with Gravity Lando T. Let me turn the music off for the replay, so that it affects more things. That's a theory anyway, and it does something really cool. Oh yeah, it destroys Celesteela. And he gets up rocks, doesn't even need sticky webs. Genius. I'm so annoying right now. I'm just like, oh my god, he set up rocks. Genius. Fire. Slaytastic. Speaking of slaying, this Celesteela is about to meet the Angel of Death. Yeah, that was a Slayer reference. I used to annoy people by shouting Slayer in the Smogtours chat a lot whenever my teammate was playing. Yeah. Oh, it's Gravity SD, so it's like, oh, that's beautiful. That's genuinely good synergy, because when you have Gravity, then you're saying, okay, my raw power of these moves means that as long as I remove the resists, the immunities rather, not the resists, because you're not removing anything to do with grass, then I can just blast through everything. But when you have Alomomola as an answer, then that's going to try to stall you out with sheer bulk, because it doesn't really care about neutral attacks, because it's so tanky. And with SD, then you blow through things that are trying to outbulk you, and with Gravity, you blow through things that try to use their immunity to your stab. So, beautiful. And Alomomola just gets deleted. Of course, it actually has a funny moment here, which is another reason why this replay is cool, where the Doug Trio is going to take advantage of the Gravity to use Tectonic Rage on Landorus. Isn't that cool? And yeah, this is also an example of A, base 100 attack Doug Trio being crazy strong, and B, offensive Lando not being that bulky, and C, Lando kind of not being that bulky in general, because most of its physical bulk comes from Intimidate, rather than just raw stats. Not to say it's frail, obviously, but, part of the idea of Lando being super bulky is from Intimidate. So, Gear and Celesteela. Celesteela really fell off in Gen 7. I remember, because at the beginning of the gen, it was crazy. I think it kind of coincided with Kartana getting knockoff, which is silly, because Celesteela is such a great Pokemon. And so now if you want to, make a team with Celesteela, you have to use Celesteela and another Kartana answer. I mean, which you kind of have to do anyway because, Magnezone. But having a Pokemon like that, which is so vulnerable to knockoff, I mean, it's not the most insanely restrictive thing, because Celesteela does pair well with things like Megalodios and Torn-T. Yeah, those two other Kartana answers. But I mean, you can even chuck in things like Tangrowth or whatever. But yeah, it is restricting. But yeah, Celesteela is a great Pokemon, and I think it should be used more. Oh, there's a... Oh yeah, Mega Camerupt. It was actually kind of used a couple times. You know what? I know the next replay then. Yeah, Mega Camerupt was actually used around this time because Magirna was so crazy broken, and Mega Camerupt's typing allows it to... Because it resists... I mean, this is a bad example because it switches into a Focus Blast as not Mega Camerupt, meaning it's very frail. But the idea is that it blocks Volt Switch from Assault Vest, and it takes on Double Dance because it's neutral to Ice Beam and immune to Thunderbolt, and it resists Fairy. So yeah, Mega Camerupt was actually briefly used. Yeah, and this Magirna is just gonna tear through everything. Good lord. Yeah. So yeah, TDK was really on fire in 2017, and other years than that, of course. In fact, the year prior, he had a great Gravity Lando replay in Oris. Maybe I'll go to that one too. I hope this doesn't turn into just me, talking about how great my friends were. But It's easy, you know, because it's an easy train of thought because it's related. But yeah, Mega Camerupt. If we go up to semis, yeah, then in the deciding game, then John, aka Brofist, because you see, oh well, why is his name John here, and then Brofist in the battle? In case you don't know, because yeah, he was the man. He was unstoppable. He was East's cheat. People called him the cheat code because he just wins so automatically in high pressure situations, and he did it over and over and over. It was incredible. Yeah, he was one of the best players ever at his peak, and yeah, and this was the deciding tiebreak game, and yeah, it was, and he brought Mega Camerupt, and let's get a good look at that sprite. Shiny Mega Camerupt, excellent choice. Yeah, to try and take on. Look at this. You got Keldeo to try and take on Greninja, and Mega Camerupt to take on Magearna. Good lord, Sun and Moon or Ultra Sun and Moon was a wild time. I mean, Toxapex didn't even have knockoff then. Talk about dumb Pokemon to get knockoff. Yeah, and there was Pelipper. I don't even know because it's not really like a true rain team. Because but people were just like chucking Pelipper on sometimes. I mean, it obviously powers up Greninja to obscene levels rather. But yeah, this is actually a great showcase for Trosco too. He's also a very understated because he's not very flashy. But I would also definitely consider him one of the best players, just because this game you'll see even at his peak, part of what he can do at his peak. Actually, these two guys played the year before, and it was also an insanely tight game. Maybe we go to that after. So yeah, if you'll pardon the circle jerking nature of my little choices of what games to explore. What is this remix? Oh, this is an 8-bit remix of the Reggie theme in Gen 3. I thought it sounded awesome. Yeah, Trosco had a phenomenal grasp on the game of Pokemon. I don't know if he's still around, but he's a fantastic player. And yeah, Gengar. We got to see more Gengar in Oris. Yeah, look at that powerful Shadow Ball. This is specs because this was early Gen 7. Everyone was like. Yeah, this is actually why I talk about fundamentals a lot, like the fundamental ideas of things of what's good in Pokemon. It doesn't really change. Like early here are two examples. Early in Gen 6, everyone's going, oh, well, spikes are bad now because everyone has defog, and that seemed kind of boggers to me. And I started slapping spikes on Greninja and. But not as much Diggersby, but I wanted to. But definitely Greninja. And then people started realizing, not because of me solely, CBB also used a ton of spikes Greninja, but people started realizing, on Greninja and then Ferrothorn, like, oh, spikes are still good. Isn't that crazy? And then it really exploded in early Oris when people realized, oh yeah, the defog options kind of suck. And it really hit an extreme a couple years later where people were like, I really hope that my opponent's spikes counterplay is defog because that means I'm going to win. And then in early Gen 7, then you had people going, oh, well, there's all these fairy types, so Tyranitar is not good. And it's like, hello, Pursuit is... And then people are going, oh, well, I'm going to use Spec Shadow Ball Gengar because there's no dark types, because there's, all these fairy types. And it's like, well, okay, that's not going to last. People are going to realize, hey, Pursuit is really good. And lo and behold, Pursuit came back in full force after, a while. So, sometimes these things can be, the fundamentals are always good until they get ripped out of the game because Gen 8 decided, oh, we can have Dynamax, but we can't have Pursuit. That would make it too much. But yeah, this was a time where Spec Shadow Ball, which is, previously an unthinkable thing. It's like, you want to make it even easier for T-Tar to pursue you? Are you out of your mind? It's a little different on Gen 4 Rotom appliances, which can run Spec sometimes, because their main stab is Thunderbolt, of course. So Shadow Ball is really their secondary stab, and you really don't like clicking it a lot. You have to be very, very secure in clicking before you click Shadow Ball. It's not something like you throw out T-Ball, oh, what's the worst that happens? Like a ground type comes in. Shadow Ball, it's like, oh, you lose your Rotom. As opposed to Gengar, which is, of course, a primary Shadow Ball spammer. Sludge Wave is actually stronger by quite a bit, but it's not something you really spam as freely because so much resists poison. where Shadow Ball has very few resists. And of course, once you delete Pursuit from the game, then you see Specs Dragapult, take over in Gen 8. And of course, Spectrier, when, I remember when that was around, that was utterly ridiculous. Anyway, that's why that Greninja switched into a Spec Shadow Ball. It took a lot. So there's that Spikes on the Switch, the Greninja Classic, it's going to be Ash, because no protein. Spikes back. Knockoff. There goes the lefties. Here comes Pelipper. I'm not thinking about this at all. There goes the Specs. Oh yeah, Specs Pelipper, threat in its own right. Good set. I liked offensive Damp Rock because Specs is obviously great and it's really, really powerful. But offensive Damp Rock can be similarly strong, and you really like the opponent not being able to play around you. Like they can no longer switch Tapu Bulu into your Specs Hydro, for example, or they can't protect on you with Heat. It's like, oh well, I see they're locking into Hurricane, so now I stay in. The flexibility of the moves is great, and you obviously extend the rain, which turns your Mega Swampert into an absolute nightmare. Yeah, I don't know why the standard rain in Gen 7 has Manaphy. I mean, obviously the level of water power is utterly obscene, and you're unwallable. But I don't think rain tends to have problems with that in general. And more importantly, when you don't have a good flying resist, Tapu Koko or Magearna, then opposing Tornadus Therian is just going to run circles around you. So yeah. But I mean, if you're willing to play around that, then obviously Manaphy is insane. So yeah, there's a Hurricane, not Specs, getting leeched. Yeah, it's so funny how Leech Ferrothorn, Leech Ferrothorn went from the most broken thing ever to something you'd never see on Ferrothorn because Magic Guard is so dumb. And Magic Guard is so good, partially because it shuts down Leech Ferrothorn. But then you run Leech Ferrothorn against a team that doesn't have Magic Guard, and you're like, this is the most insanely broken thing ever. And sometimes I remember a couple of years ago in World Cup, I think it was 2018, I think ABR and I were talking, and he was like, look at these teams that just forfeit to the move Leech Seed. Like, how are these people not seeing it? You just bring Ferrothorn into them, it's like, oh, well, I win. Yeah. I always, I think a lot of great players really prefer having teams that are, you gotta have a way to break open things defensively. I'm not talking about the one Pokemon stall killing one Pokemon army, because that's kind of, it's really not a reliable way of breaking through defensive stuff. It generally tends to be more systematic. You don't have to be like ironclad against stall, like, oh, if they run stall into me, I will 6-0 them mercilessly. Nothing like that. As long as you have the tools to make the plays to break them down, that's all you really need. Just put your faith in yourself, but you gotta have the tools to be able to do it. And I think a lot of players prefer being safer into breaking defensive stuff, because if you run a team that's bad into defensive stuff against a good player, you lose every time. Barring acts of God, where you just triple crit freeze nonsense. But yeah, whereas against offensive teams, then yeah, you might not have a counter to that Urshifu or Tapu Lele or whatever, but you can play around it with offensive pressure, as long as you have your own offenses, of course. And obviously you have to have some level of planning too. Like, you can say, oh, we'll play around it with offense, but then your team gets swept by Scarf Psychic or whatever, then that doesn't work. But yeah, it's generally a lot more doable to play around, because if you're running an offensive team, you're not going to have hard counters to things anyway. So it's more doable to play around it with offense. It's good to have one-time resist, that kind of thing, as long as you play the game at a fast enough pace, as opposed to just hoping. Because I mean, Ferrothorn, what are you going to do? Hope you crit it 6 times as it misses 6 Leech Seeds? Come on. So that's not to say that this is the case here, but it just got me thinking. So great move by Trosco there. I don't know what's going on with this one-on-one, because it just stays in Psychics. I remember this was when early Gen 7 people were running Soldew Latios. I don't think Mega Latios were released because not all the Megas were released early in Gen 7. Yeah, so Mega Latios took a while. And I remember, because offensive Latios was very popular still early in Gen 7. Because, first of all, Scarf was a holdover from Gen 6, because Gen 6 Scarf Latios was very popular and very good at the time, because Zard X, late game cleaning, all that stuff. And so it was used early in Gen 7, just because it's a catch-all, because it's so fast and so strong. And then offensive sets were used too, and people were using Soldew, because in Gen 7 Soldew got nerfed to... I think it's like Draco Plate and Psychic Plate at the same, or Mind Plate rather, at the same time, as opposed to the free Calm Mind it was Gens 3 through 6. So yeah, it just goes for some pressure on Psychic. These games between players of such high caliber, where they're considering every option, I think they're a real treat to think about, because like even when you, this I think is an underrated aspect of the game. When you see this in real time and you like see the timer going down, it's palpable. You feel the thought that each player is putting into these turns, and how they're considering every option, and how that really opens up your own way of thinking. Like, oh well, this might want to do this or this, and it not only opens up your options, or what you're thinking about in terms of what each player might do. Is my washing machine on? It better. I'll have to go check in a second. Yeah, not only. Yeah, it is. I just closed the door so I wouldn't hear the sound, but I listened to it hard enough and I heard it. Okay, good. I thought I was gonna, lately I've been thinking, like, did that really happen? It's like, yes, it really happened, but what do you need, video proof? Yeah. That just means I need a vacation, Even the Terminator needed a vacation at the end of T2. So then he took a permanent vacation, am I right? Oh, that was so sad. I love the beginning of Spaced, where Simon Pegg, it's like literally the first scene, where Simon Pegg is, he's begging with his girlfriend who just dumped him for not being emotionally available. And he goes, no, I'm emotionally available, or whatever, or however he says it. I'm in touch with my feelings. I cried at the end of Terminator 2. Anyway, so when these players are considering every option, then you start considering, as a viewer, you start considering every option alongside them. And then, by virtue of considering, oh, that Latios might stay in Psychic, or whatever it is, then you start considering the plays you can make. Because it's so easy to get stuck in, do I attack or switch? And if I attack, then it's very clearly like one move. Or if you're staying in no matter what, do I use move A or move B? But then when you really start opening up your perspective to every single option you have, like on this turn, nobody was locked into a move or anything. They could use one of 4 moves, or they could switch to one of 5 Pokemon this early in the game. And so when you really start considering what the opponent might do and how you can respond to that, and you really open things up in terms of, plays you can make, and because a lot of the time, what's the most common complaint? Oh, my matchup was bad. Oh, I couldn't do anything. You know how many times I've heard that? Oh, there wasn't much I could do. Not much more I could have done in that one. Oh, the matchup just wasn't good. And I'm not saying bad matchups don't exist, of course. But, there is very often, just about always, not just a little more you can do, but a lot more you can do. And when you really consider all your options, then, yeah. And, if the matchup really is that bad, and you really exhausted every option, then, it's just not enough, then so be it. No one's going to scream at you for that, provided you brought a good team, a reasonable team, that kind of thing. So yeah, under Rain, this Scizor is not going to be threatened, especially once it Megas. And HP Fire wasn't common at this point anyway. He's not going to Roost. That's a good play. I mean, it's tempting to Roost in this kind of, oh, I want my Scizor healthy and whatnot, because, it's not healing passively. But I think it was a really heads-up move on Trosco's end to go for U-turn there. Like, yeah, Scizor's going to be lower on health, but in such a tight game, then he's going to want to put as much. I mean, he's got rocks and spikes, and he's only facing down one layer of spikes. He's got to make the most of that. He doesn't want to give Brofist any breathing room to come back, on that forced roost. So he made the tough choice. I think most players they roost there. They're like, oh, I want to preserve my Scizor to switch in over and over. I need the health against Gengar, and instead Trosco chose the more aggressive offensive route to get ahead. He's really, you can't drag this thing out forever, especially not against someone as good as Brofist. You got to be aggressive. You got to be proactive. So I think that was a really great move, a really heads-up move, and a perfect example of what I was just talking about. Especially because, if he roosts there, then Brofist goes to Lando and he gets up rocks, and then he's got to deal with rocks. Right now he doesn't, and he's out in front in so many ways now. He's got the offensive pressure, and he's not dealing with rocks. So, yeah, great move. Pharaoh coming in, and in case you want some more intensity, oh, my stomach's growling. I really gotta make dinner after. That's another thing that sucks about working really long hours. as creatively rewarding as it is, whenever you get home late, it's like, oh, I still gotta eat, and when you eat late, that's messy. Obviously you eat during, but it's not quite the same. It can mess with your schedule. Having a good schedule is really really good for your mental health, I think, and something that I've had some problems with. I think a lot of people have had problems. Then they start waking up earlier, and they're like, "Oh my god, I feel so much better. I wonder why." It's like, yeah, the real mystery. Anyway, so Brofist's timer, he was one of Pokemon's greatest thinkers. And yeah, he gets to Ferrothorn. Even if he gets Dark Pulse, he can take. Oh no, he can because he gets crit. That sucks. Even Protect might. Actually, he's not gonna have Protect. He's gonna have that. But he's not ready to give up just yet because he's got the Spike pressuring it. He's got the Keldeo, and that's a nasty crit. I don't know if that crit mattered or not. It might have. Keldeo might have been the better move just to begin with. But I won't say that definitively because if Brofist thought it through that much, then there was definitely some merit to it. And if he thought it through that much, that means he was also calcing it. So he probably could take, 2 or something. And I'm not 100% on the rolls or anything. But yeah, so Keldeo's going to scare it out. Is it going to water move? Which seems like the better. It does. Great move. Yeah, because Sacred Sword is the safe one. No, it's Secret Sword. It's Secret Sword. Good lord. Sacred Sword's the one that ignores boosts. That's the one Terrakion used as a filler on Choice Band early in Black and White 1, because, it ignores Conkeldur's bulk ups, never mind the fact that it'll Mach Punch you first. Yeah, it was something else as well. I forget. But, yeah, actually it's probably better for ignoring Intimidate, yeah. Anyway, not that, close combat wouldn't be strong enough. So regardless, you'll see a lot of moves like this, actually, at really high levels. You'll see here's a great example. If you've got like a Ferrothorn at low health, right, like in range of Alakazam Psychic in Gen 5 or 6, then that opponent is not risking Focus Blast. It's like, I'm not going to risk a Focus Blast I don't need to against a 10% Ferrothorn. And so a lot of great players, they will switch like Tyranitar or whatever into it, even because they don't want to switch Tyranitar into Focus Blast and E2 Focus Blast, but they can switch it into a Psychic and then a Focus Blast. So they can actually switch a Pokemon into the move that is theoretically aimed at it because they know that move's not being used. Another great example is Tyranitar in Advance. When you're trying to like pivot Salamence into it, then you've got, like, let's say this happened to me actually in an SPL game this year. Then you'll have like a Suicune at like 10%, and this is the exact example, but I've seen it so many times over the years. So you got a Suicune at 10%. And you're thinking, okay, well, there's no way that Tyranitar is going to risk a Rock Slide on a 10% Suicune. Even though, like, in a nutshell, Tyranitar Rock Slide is the move to use against Suicune, right? It's stronger. So why would you pivot Mence into that when you want to pivot Mence in to get the Intimidate against an Earthquake? If you can help it, of course. So, but at 10%, they're not risking it. They're going for Earthquake. They're a smart player. So you take advantage of that and you go to Salamence. So this was a similar idea where, Trosco's team is not particularly well equipped to deal with Keldeo to begin with, but that's the idea. Like, Brofist is behind, wants to play it safe, and might Secret Sword here. But it was actually, I think, a better move to sacrifice Keldeo. Like, if there is a Hydro Pump coming my way, I'd rather go to that than Clefable, because Tapu Koko into a team with Mega Camerupt, funnily enough, is even when there's no Magearna, then Mega Camerupt actually has some use. Then it's not going to be as useful. So, well done on both sides. So yeah, in comes Gengar again. Look at it taking spikes. Disgusting. Hashtag justice for Gengar. Not that, actually I think that gives Gengar an interesting niche in Gen 7 because it lets it pick up Toxapex's T-Spikes, but yeah, I'm a Levitate Gengar kind of guy. What can I say? Hashtag old school. And there's the Spec Shadow Ball picking up the KO. Yeah, and here comes Gren again. And now does Ferrothorn die to hazards? No, it doesn't. And so it is going to get the Ash. And the Rain is active too. Oh, jeez. That's scary. Oh, but Latios is going to be able to... Yeah, because Keldeo's not taking Ashgren, Spec Shuriken under Rain from under half. So in comes Latios. And Lando pivots into one Draco and takes it. That's great. Yeah, this is Electrium Z Latios to my recollection. Yeah. I wonder if that's... That can't be Scarf. Scizor. Sorry, Lando T. There's no way it would have taken that Draco. No, I guess maybe. Because it just made me think bulky. But I mean, it's actually that team needs speed. You know, it's got bulky Clef. You know, what's it going to be bulking with? Here comes Gren for its last KO. What's going to get sacrificed? Yeah, Lando, I guess. And it's got a Shuriken, otherwise Keld comes in, so... Now Latios is going to force it out. And down it goes. And, oh, what a I forgot he did that. What a great move. First of all, the knockoff paying dividends, because it means Latios can't switch, or Clefable can't switch into it. That's such a great move, because knowing... Because you can't Psychic into... I mean, I know the Latios... Actually, I don't know the calc. I don't know if it could take 2 Spec Shurikens. But, you know, you would think, oh, well, there's no way the Keldeo is going to... the Greninja is going to stay in here, right, and just get picked off. You know, especially because it gets picked off by Draco Meteor. Clefable is immune to it. I mean, so that was not an easy move by either player. Because, you know, you don't want to get Draco on the switch. And, yeah. You don't want to get Psychic on the switch, rather, but you also don't want to leave Greninja in. Because you need the fodder, right? In such a tight game, you need every Pokemon you can get. So, yeah, that was a great move. Now here's what's really mind-boggling. Electrium Z was not the standard at all on Latios. Honestly, truth be told, I don't even remember what it was used for. But and I don't think Trosco knew it was Electrium Z. I don't know the thought processes here. I hope someone links it to someone and, you know, it gets elucidated, or, you know, someone in the comments who's more enterprising than me can figure it out. But the insane thing is that he pivots into Lando T here on the Electrium Z. So that was just utterly insane. I don't know if he was aiming for Scizor or what, but I don't know how that move got made. I think, yeah, I don't know. Maybe he was expecting a pivot to Gengar on the... Oh, you know what he might have been doing? He might have said, look, that Psychic is a roll. This is the best I can think of right now. That Psychic is a roll. He doesn't want to risk it. I mean, he doesn't need... Because this is pre-Ultra Sun and Moon. That Lando can't get a Defog off. It doesn't have it yet. I guess if Scizor can, then Greninja can come in again. But that also means that the opposing team... That Keldeo's not getting ripped up by hazards. So it would be able to check it still. So I don't know, but maybe he thought, look, that camera up is coming in on the Clef, on the soft-boiled. Well, yeah, because you don't want to go to Gengar and get Moonblasted and lose it for nothing. But you can go to Camerupt because it covers soft-boiled and Moonblast, and you don't risk the Psychic roll. So that's what I'm going to assume it is, because the Clefs were bold, to my recollection. Actually, yeah, I think so, because they were used for Zygarde. So I think they were bold. They were definitely bold in Ultra Sun and Moon. I don't remember about Gen 7, because it's not like Gen 6 yeah, excuse me, in XY when Calm Clef started being used, because it could take 2 Life Orb Hydro Pumps from Greninja without being affected by spikes. But yeah, so I think he was trying to catch the camera up double and the side effect of the Gigavolt Havoc. I mean, but either way, that was a truly insane play. You know, with it on the line, going down to 10 seconds, I just think that's great. So now here comes Camerupt to absorb that U-turn. Look how key Trosco's denial of Stealth Rock winds up being, by the way. This 10% Lando hang around. I mean, it let it switch into Latios Draco Meteor before. And actually, props earlier for that Draco Meteor to begin with. I mean, I missed it because Draco is such a spammable move in my mind because, you know, pre-Fairy Gens. But with Clefable around, then, you know, it's not nearly as spammable. He just dropped it anyway and slammed that Lando really hard. But yeah, no rocks on Trosco's end, you know, keeping him alive. So in comes Scizor into... But that's why that camera was a great move, because if you catch it on the U-turn, and I mean, EQ would have been an insanely tough move. But I mean, then Latios comes in and gets another KO and, you know, recovers ostensibly. Actually, yeah, at this point, if Keldeo hits Hydro Pumps, the game's over anyway. But, so he could sacrifice the Camerupt. Yeah, as soon as Clef got down to that health. Yeah, but Camerupt, there's no good switching to Camerupt because Greninja dies to Rock, so it is going to pick up a KO, which is hilarious. And, Well, not a KO, I guess, if Greninja gets sacked. But Fire Blast to not let the thing in. And yeah, I guess Clef has to. Oh yeah, that's his only hope. Good lord, yeah. Well, that's definitely Bold Clefable. But yeah, good lord, look at that Fire Blast. It's sheer force boosted, but look at how much it plowed that thing. You know, hoping to soft boil on a Fire Blast. I mean, it would need a couple of those. It would need like a Moonblast drop as well in order to soft boil out of Keldeo range. And then Gengar comes in, forces it out, and then you sack Scizor and you go to Lando again, and yeah, it'd still be tough because then Latios comes in, psychics, and yeah, I think Latios psychic into, well, I guess maybe you sack Latios and keep because Gengar dies to hazards, yeah, so you don't sack Latios. But yeah, now there's no way Clefable is healing that off, and it just gets earth powered into dust. So yeah, now it's all down to Keldeo. And, yeah, tough. This is a clencher for sure. Oh, he's got Surf. It doesn't even... Yeah, so it only needed to risk Hydro Pump if Clef was still around because of the roll. But, yeah, insane game from both players. Some of the best ever. Wow, I didn't expect to go into this one so deeply. I just wanted to show Mega Camera. So let's go in a different direction from here. Let's go to... You know what? Okay, I know which game I want to cover. It's actually from a lower tier. It's the Champions League, I think. Where is that? I'm looking right at it. Yeah. Replays. I think it's from 2018. Yeah, it's my buddy Cole49. Great RU player. One of the best. Excellent team builder. And... yeah, this is a game I really appreciated of his because of how, was it this one? No. No, it wasn't. This was a game he had a Honchkrow. And I thought that was part of why I thought it was cool, because I love seeing Honchkrow. But, yeah, I thought this was a really surgical game. It's the kind of game which is fast-paced, but that doesn't mean there's any less in terms of planning. And in fact, there's a lot more planning because every turn is so crucial. So not that long-term games require less planning, because you do have to have a long-term plan and stick to it. But it's not something you can really recover from as easily. So it's very demanding. And it can also, cause some uncomfortable things, some terms that are really tough to work with. But yeah, my buddy Cole is the Honchkrow user against Nat, another one of the best RU players. I don't remember how this game goes at all, but I love Cole's team. It's just in terms of its selection of Pokemon. And if I remember correctly, that Cloyster has spikes, so it lends it another layer of threat. I think that's Scarf Moxie Honchkrow. Oh, yeah, that reminded me. So, someone suggested that I do Randbats laddering. Talk about, I mean, it's got to be an active ladder, right? It's current gen. And I get to learn about all the new Pokemon, and it's, well, not brainless. I do enjoy Randbats, because they really force you to think about how you're going to, play around the fact that you've got a UU team and you're facing down Kyogre, for example. But yeah, that was something I was just reminded of. Anyway, here comes Drapion. Oh, I love Drapion as well. Well, that's a mismatch for Shaman. Well... maybe not. I don't know the standards of this metagame, so I can't really comment. Okay, I guess not that bad. Because I always think of Drapion as this like bulky Pokemon, or especially defensive Pokemon, and Shaman as an offensive Grass type. So obviously mismatch into that. But I guess if the standard is a Scarf Drapion and Shaman, because Drapion isn't really, it's especially defensive because of its typing. It switches into Psychic types and it's neutral to Focus Blast and resist Shadow Ball. So. But it needs special defense investment for that. But it's not really one for taking all manner of special attacks. Yeah, but I guess Life Orb or Spec Shaman is strong with Earth Power. And if it's strong enough to Oko Shaman with like Band or something, then Shaman's going to outspeed it. And if it's bulky, then it's not going to KO it. And if it's Scarf, it's not going to KO it. So yeah, Life Orb Shaman is actually on death's door now, thanks to that poison on top of the hit and the Life Orb recoil. But yeah, it's a brutal turn one. That was cool. Well... now Zygarde 10 comes in. Well, but Cloyster switches in. See, that's what I think is really cool. When you've got an offensive team, like this goes back to what was being talked about earlier. God, what am I going to title this video? And you can't really hard counter the opposing offensive threats. but you have to be able to switch into them like once or twice. And here's a great example. I mean, this is an offensive spiking Cloyster, but look there, it's the Zygarde check. So going for Icicle Spear just in case it wants to get smart. And if Registeel comes in, then you just spike all over it. There's the 5 hits with a crit, still doing approximately nothing. But now it's going to start spiking. Does this spin too? I don't think so. Yeah, now Doublade comes in to take advantage of Registeel and put a lot of pressure on. Well, not a lot of pressure immediately because there's a full health Gligar. But oh, and there's a beautiful double switch into Necrozma on the Force Gligar, lest Registeel give Doublade multiple Swords Dances. There's knockoff. Oh well, there goes a Violite. Nothing was enjoying that knockoff, whether it was Registeel or Slowking Virizion. Virizion doesn't even want to come in Necrozma, right? It's a Psychic type, and Zygarde obviously didn't. So that was a beautiful double switch. That was even more laser precise than I immediately thought, because Necrozma does so many things, right? So I don't know if it's gonna be physical or special or what. Because it can run like Calm Mind and stuff. But yeah, knock off the Violite, and now it's in business. I mean, slow U-turn gets in Zygarde for free. So, I mean, something's going to get sacrificed here, I'm pretty sure. But 1,000 Arrows, what a crazy move. I can't believe it took so long for regular Zygarde to get banned from OU. But, yeah, slow turn into Zygarde. So, actually, I don't think it KOs Necrozma. Necrozma is pretty bulky, right? There's no way it's KOing from there. Oh, with Z. Okay, so that's why Cole stays in, rather than sacking Shaman. So there's the Dragon, and now in comes Cloyster again to force it out once more. And in comes Slowking, as opposed to Registeel. To not let Doublade in for free as much, yeah, that's an interesting move. Or, that's the better move, I think. But, God, that Icicle Spear did a lot. What is that, Slowking set? Oh, Future... Oh, that's so cool. I love those, like, little details of Pokemon. Like, when you blocking Future Sight by sacking something to hazards. I think that's really cool. Yeah, and I like appreciating these little things. So in comes Honchkrow, and Honchkrow is a cool Pokemon, so let's just admire it. I love that animation Honchkrow does in Battle Revolution when it faints and it tips its cap to the opponent. That's so cool. Honchkrow is just such a cool Pokemon in general. And whenever I played Diamond or Pearl in-game, I always used Mismagius or Honchkrow, depending on which one I had. They're cool, too cool not to use. Gen 4 had such cool Pokemon. Yeah, so Slowking was, of course, featured in the best Pokemon movie. Well, 2 or 3, I think. I've really come to like 3. But that's also because of my appreciation for David Lynch. And that is basically a David Lynch movie in Pokemon form. It's pretty disturbing, really. But yeah, so there's Scarf Crow, Night Slash, Moxie, and down it goes. It's not going to get much further because... Actually, it might because... Oh, it's not Scarf. Oh, wow. Well, I mean, that bluff worked on me just as well as it worked here. I don't know what hidden power that is, but it's not Ice or Rock, and those are the most immediate hidden powers I can think of for Virizion. Maybe, like, Poison for a Fairy type or something? Well, I assume that was aimed at... What, Doublade? Oh, I guess maybe... Well, no, it's not Dark or Ghost because it was neutral on Honchkrow. So, yeah, Doublade resists like everything. It's not Ground either for similar reasons. Those are the ones you would aim at Doublade. Yeah, I don't know what hidden power would be. So... Yeah, as opposed to just fighting moving. But yeah, I guess I assumed Scarf Moxie as well, but... I guess that means, yeah, Scarf, Moxie, Honchkrow, and like a setup Tyrantrum, right? But I guess that just means it's a good bluff of Scarf, Tyrantrum, and non-Scarf Honchkrow. Because you would think, right? Well, Honchkrow's slow, but you make up for it with Scarf, and Moxie, that's, it's niche, right? But here we see excellent use of, well, Honchkrow getting 2 KOs, getting that nice Brave Bird in there, too. Wow, that's awesome. That's got, well, Moxie Sucker Punch isn't going to get anywhere against Extreme Speed, but... Yeah. And Extreme Speed, of course, means... well, no, it's not banded, so it's not set up for Doublade. But it is going to get forced out by the Scarf Tyrantrum, because it can't DD. Wow, that was a beautiful double switch. I wonder if that was necessary. Well, it probably was, you know? That's the kind of situation where it's very easy to feel comfortable because of you just picked up 2 KOs with Hanchka, right? You're like, oh, I'm out in front, I'm doing fine, and then you overlook the situation. You feel better in the situation than it actually is, and the game really is closer than you thought. And then you were like, oh, wait, I actually needed to keep my foot on the gas. I couldn't just, leave it like that. So that was a really great move. That's a heads up move to get a Cloister in and not just give Registeel a free switch. I mean, I guess you could sack Tyrantrum because I don't remember how this game ends. It's doubly going for it, but yeah, I'll let someone weigh in on it more because I'm feeling myself getting tired just thinking about it. I've been doing way more thinking than I intended. Yeah. All right, Doublade's in SD, and now the Gligar doesn't even have a Violite. And to my recollection, this Earthquake bounces off, so it's going to get 2 SDs anyway and start Shadow Clawing. And then Sneaking, of course. Or Iron Heading, rather. Because, yeah, that is stronger. And wow, that hit hard. And that's the game. Yeah, that was a really cool one. Thanks to both players. I don't know why I was thanking them, but yeah. You know what else I'd like to see? Because this video is longer than I expected, but that's good because that means for those who use me as a sleep aid, then you won't risk the video running out of steam before you're sufficiently rested. I'd like to see some Ubers. When's the last time we had a... Well, I remember Black and White Ubers in SPL was great, but that was pre-replays. There's some good Ubers games in SPL 6, I remember. Well, in 5, which was XY Ubers, then 6, which was Oris, 7, which was Sun and Moon, and then they removed it in Ultra Sun and Moon because of the insane cheating that the Ubers player base was doing. Yeah, for those who don't know, then I don't remember if I mentioned it in my Mazar cheating video, but basically he was part of this group called Shadow Tag, or just Stag for short. And they were rigging like every Ubers tournament so a member of their group would win. And it was so bad and so widespread that they literally had to kick Ubers out of official tournaments for years until the player base changed and all those guys were basically gone. It wasn't just SPL either. Like, they took them out of Grand Slam as well. So, which is, for those who don't know, the individual tournament with the lower tiers. And, yeah. Well, let's see if there's anything good from XY Ubers. There's some wild stuff in this one. I remember the finals one. There's a lot of paralysis going on. That one was. Oh, you know what? Here's a funny one. I'm not going to analyze this game at all, but Blim is a sorely overlooked player. He was an absolute star in Gens 5 and 6. I mean, he understood the game so well, and the tier as well. He was just, unstoppable. And here's an incredible example. Anyway, so Scolipede, because he was on top of the metagame. It was sight to see. In comes Kyogre to replace the Sand. And who's texting me? Oh, that's the call time for tomorrow. 2 locations tomorrow. Are you out of your mind? It's a late start tomorrow. No, I don't know how they're going to pull that off, but alright. Alright, well, Anyway, so yeah, Mega Gengar was crazy. People wanted to get rid of Shadow Tag and XY Ubers. And that was a beautifully orchestrated trap by Problems, by the way. The U-turn into Shadow Tag Gengar, into taunting the Kyogre so it can't sleep talk. Was it? Yeah, it was rest talk. Yeah, and now speaking of Broken Gar, I love these pre and post Mega dynamics. Like Mega evolving your Charizard X or not in order to Fire Flying versus Fire Dragon typing to mess with your opponent's counterplay for it. Mega Gyarados is pretty good at that one too. But yeah, like in Ubers around this time, I remember this was really common that you would use Gengars. I mean, even well into Oris, because Primal Groudon. So before you Mega Evolve, you use that Levitate ability and pivot into those ground moves. And yeah, because this is from a gen where Gengar actually levitates, right? You know, the only other generation where Gengar doesn't levitate is, of course, GSC. Well, you know, prior to Gen 7, of course. Anyway, so that was Blinn was all over this one. This is intense. Yeah, U-turn into Mega Gengar. What a fair. God, I hate Shadow Tag and Gen 6 Ubers. It's like one of my few qualms with the tier. Yeah. There's the rocks. Does this Dialga have flat? Yeah, of course it does. Xerneas. God, that hit hard. And look at Scolipede picking up the KO. Nicely done. And no more Sand Excadrill now. But here comes, of course, Extreme Killer. Extreme Killer sounds like a wild movie. Some sort of Asian extreme movie for sure. You know, it'd be like one of those things like, because the translation doesn't come through as much. So you get a title that, like, to them is probably completely normal. And for us, we're like, oh, how kooky. But yeah, I would definitely watch Extreme Killer. I saw a great Japanese movie. Let me find it. What was it called? It was, no, I don't think it was Japanese. I think it was from Hong Kong. But it was like this, it was like Basic Instinct mixed with a slasher. Well, I guess Basic Instinct is kind of like somewhat slasher influenced in general. But it was more overt. You know, it was like Basic Instinct-ish, but like these two women are like taking revenge on these guys, and in a much more like slasher, in an overt slasher fashion, I guess. Especially because like the killings are more graphic, you know, as opposed to basic. I mean, actually, the opening of Basic Instinct, there's a lot of blood. You know, it's like you think of Basic Instinct as this, you know, it's like, oh well, it's, you know, saucy, and then the opening scene is like, oh, there, and then you learn that they got the effects guy from The Thing on it, and you're like, oh, that makes sense. That's awesome. You know, let me find. I watched this a couple months ago, but I'll recognize it when I find the title. But it was really good. It was called Something Killer, which is why I thought of it with Extreme Killer just now. What was it? Was it Velvet Killer or something? No, it wasn't that. It was really wonderful, though. I just realized I haven't taken a bathroom break in this one. Because I'm starting to get the feeling, oh, I gotta go to the bathroom, and it's unacceptable. I'm not hydrated enough. But, you know, that's another thing. Like, when you're working all day, then you're thinking, oh, well, I don't need to, you know, drink that much water because, you know, I'm working. And then you realize you're thirsty when you get home, and then, you know, I have that problem. It's like, well, I drank so much water, then I have to get up in the middle of the night. And then it messes up your sleep. It's tough to find a rhythm with this kind of schedule, but it's something I gotta work on. God, where is it? Oh, I gotta go further back, I guess. This will be my recommendation. Well, my recommendation is also Basic Instinct to anyone who hasn't seen it, because it really is an amazing movie. I got to see it on a big screen this year, and it was a phenomenal experience. Yeah, like, it has the reputation of being, you know, it's like, oh, it's just graphic and whatever. But no, it really is an excellent movie. It's, yeah, and let me, yeah, it's very, I mean, the Hitchcock comparison is very obvious, but also very apt. I mean, actually, you know, when you watch it knowing, you know, that it's somewhat of a riff on Vertigo, then it becomes very blatant. Like, all the choices, like Sharon Stone, who really is incredible, by the way. Sharon Stone's, like, hair and everything, she looks like Kim Novak, which is, you know, no accident. I mean, the story, not so much, but a lot of the stylistic choices and general thematic ideas. God, where was it? God, I really do watch a lot of movies. Not so much lately, though, unfortunately. Watch Me When I Kill? No, that's not it. That was a pretty good one, though. Oh no, I went too far back. Oh, this is not it, but this movie Gemini from 2017. I thought that was really cool. Like, something with this. I wasn't expecting Zoe Kravitz to be in it because it's like this kind of indie semi, like for those of you who don't know what mumblecore is, it was like this. It was like the American indie movement of the 2000s. It's like everything's improvised. Half the dialogue is, I don't know. Where's my life going? And for those who have seen Uncut Gems or Good Time, then those guys got started in mumblecore, for example. The best mumblecore movie is Frownland, though. Frownland is incredible. My buddy recommended me that one. It was insane. Yeah, I really, really dug that one. Then I watched something recently that reminded me of Frownland. Oh, Takeout by Sean Baker, the guy who did Florida Project. Yeah, I thought that was incredible. I love Takeout. So Frownland and Takeout, must-sees. Takeout, very similar to... It's not mumblecore, but it is very similar stylistically. And, yeah. Okay, I will find... It's gotta be here. Naked Killer, that was it. Okay. Naked Killer, 1992, by Clarence Yulung Fok. That's his name, that's not swearing. F-O-K. Just in case YouTube wants to be annoying. Yeah, it's fantastic. What? Details. Yeah, Hong Kong. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I recommend everything I just mentioned. Okay, so back to the replay. So Scolipede, yeah, that's the weird dynamic that... Yeah, because Blim hasn't Mega Evolved the Gengar yet, so it's going to be slower than Extreme Killer. Well, if it's Jolly, I guess, because it's still faster than Adam and Extreme Killer, which most of them are. But yeah, it is something to keep in mind. But with the Sand and the Pin Missile, then... That's not the... no, yeah, it's not Gengar that's the issue, I don't think. Oh, no, he did Mega Evolve it already. I was just... Then why was the sprite... Was that... Yeah, okay, I don't know why it... He didn't Mega Evolve it on that turn, did he? No, it's as soon as it switched it. Okay, that was Showdown messing me up. Anyway. Yveltal comes in. I did... Actually, isn't it supposed to be like Eviltal? Because evil, I don't know. I like the way Yveltal sounds, though. Yeah, so there comes Kyogre. Here comes another Extreme Killer. Here comes the Palkia. Palkia was so spammed during this time. It was like, well, you don't die to Specs Kyogre, and you prevent Xerneas from setting up because you run T-Wave. Yeah, so there's this. Oh, no, it was the other way around, the whole Gengar versus E-Killer thing. Yeah, just watch. D-Bond 1, D-Bond 2, SD... So basically, what Blim wants to do, he wants to, because Problems is faster, right? So if the Gengar attacks after a Destiny Bonds, on the turn after a Destiny Bonds, the Destiny Bond goes away. So if Blim Shadow Claws on Destiny Bond, Arceus goes down, and if Blim Swords Dances on Taunt, then that's the whole Taunt Destiny Bond combo. You taunt so they use an attacking move, then you Destiny Bond so they KO you and you take them out. But so Blim's got that precarious dance of Shadow Claw on the D Bond is not what you want. You want a Shadow Claw on the Taunt, and you don't want a SD on the Taunt, but you want a SD on the D Bond. So yeah, so let's just go back to the beginning with that knowledge in mind for those who might not have picked up on it immediately. Yeah, so here it comes. So, D-Bond, SD, recover, sorry. That's good, so that means Gengar can't 2-hit KO you. That's really smart, actually, because from that range it might have, Sludge Bomb. And you only need, the one turn there. And now if you want to go for Sludge Bomb, then it's worse, because you have to get it right more turns in a row. So, although, I mean, if you get a Sludge Bomb Poison, then you just... Well, you start spin. Actually, no, not even. Still risky. So that was a great first recover, and then you try the SD. So that was really wonderful. Yeah, and if Arceus goes down, then it's Mega Gar versus Scar. I don't know if that Yveltal is Yveltal, sorry, is Scarf or not. Probably. Well, I mean, Scarf Yveltal gives Xerneas setup opportunities, so maybe not. But yeah, that whole Gengar dance, versus Sucker Punch, awful. Destiny Bond guessing games, and then Sucker Punch guessing games. Gross. So yeah, that's 3 in a row. 4, Destiny Bond, recover again in case he sludge bombs. That was what, 5 in a row? Recover again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yup. There's the taunt. Oh, he's recovering. Oh, but he's not even done yet because now he's E-speed. Oh, that's so good. Because, yeah, now it gets even nastier because he got the taunt on the recover. Great move, I promise. But Blim recognizes, oh, I don't have to give up in Shadow Claw. I can E-speed. And I can do that a bunch. Well, actually not even that much because he doesn't have that much E-speed PP. He used it to 2-KO Palkia earlier. And because of pressure, that means he actually used 4 instead of 2. And, yeah, so he's got the 1 there. So he can't do this forever. But there's only 2 Destiny Bonds left. So that makes it even nastier. You know, he's got more E-speeds than D-Bonds. So what does that mean in terms of the pressure guessing game? So yeah, if he E-speeds and then gets sludge bombed, then fine. But, you know, he can't Shadow Claw on a Destiny Bond. That's the most important thing. There's Focus Blast. Oh my god, he has Focus Blast. That makes it even worse. Because Focus Blast 2 KOs Arceus. You know, Sludge Bomb is something else, but because that's a 3 KO. But Focus Blast is a 2 KO, so if you get this one wrong, then you're toast. Oh, and he Shadow Clawed. There he Shadow Clawed after how many turns? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. On the 8th turn, he got it. Ugh. Wow. That never fails to amaze me. Blim was really out of this world. Yeah, and that's the game. I think we're going to call it there. This is over an hour. So, thank you so much for watching. Or listening, either way. So you have you know what? Just to cap things off, I'm going to recommend all the movies I've managed to watch lately that I really liked. And we'll call it then we'll call it. Places and Cities. This was a Berlin School movie. I love this one. This was really slow, really minimalistic, and hit some real. And that Stark approach really hit some deep chords for me. I won't analyze everything like this, but yeah, Taipei Story was also beautiful, beautiful film. What else did I like? Oh, I watched these 4 films by Mai Zetterling, this Swedish actress turned director, who made some really ferocious films. I watched 4 of hers in a row. The first one was The Girls, which I loved. It was just anarchic and on fire, and loved it throughout. And then I read that Night Games was really, like, it was so controversial that they didn't want to screen it at some festival. I think it was Venice. And like the first, like, I don't know, hour or something, I was like, all right, this is pretty dark. Not what I was expecting, but I guess I can see why it's controversial. And then this one scene comes on, you're like, oh, that's, I see. It's not even that it's like, I mean, it is shocking, but not in the way like there's a lot of blood or something. It's just, I mean, today it was like, oh, that was unsettling. And, yeah, for the 60s, I can't even imagine. So yeah, those 4 movies by Mai Zetterling: The Girls, Night Games, Loving Couples, and Dr. Glass. All really, really vigorously done, and I love them. I really like this movie called The 7-Ups. This really like gritty 70s New York, like dirty cop thriller. It has an amazing car chase. I heard the movie was like, the car chase is great, but everything else is kind of good. But I thought the whole movie was really great. And the car chase is obviously insane. You know, it's by the guy, I think he was a producer on The French Connection, and like maybe Bullet too. So like car chases were clearly this guy's like specialty. But he directed this one. But yeah, and it's got Roy Scheider. I think Roy Scheider is fantastic. He's I mean, he's known as like the guy from Jaws, but he's so much more than the guy from Jaws. You know, he was fantastic in Sorcerer. I really hate how Friedkin, the director, and Tarantino, when they talk about Sorcerer, oh, Sorcerer's a great movie, but Roy Scheider, he was just wrong for it. It's like, get out of here. Come on, Roy Scheider was fantastic. I remember like the ending scene with like that superimposition was just haunting. And of course, Sorcerer is amazing because it's got like the single most tense scene in movie history. Well, that's a strong claim to make, but the bridge scene is just insane. And we lost William Friedkin recently. That was really sad. I mean, he was almost 88, but yeah, watch a William Friedkin movie as well. French Connection, if you haven't seen it. Best car chase ever. Yeah, he's Yeah, obviously The Exorcist is insane, and To Live and Die in L.A. also is one of the best car chases ever. Even Jade, which was pretty interesting. Actually, it's related because it's got the Basic Instinct screenwriter, so it's kind of in that territory. But it's also got an insane car. Some of I think the best car jumps I've ever seen. It's insane. Yeah, Friedkin really knew his way around a car chase, and yeah, so Sorcerer great. Roy Scheider also phenomenal in All That Jazz. Always got to recommend All That Jazz. And in the 7-Ups, he does a great job as well. Yeah, I still got to see Bug by Friedkin. This is what I mean. Like, I've been working so much. I was like, all right, I'm gonna watch Bug, and then I'm like, it's too late. I'm too tired. I want to really pay attention to it. I don't just want to throw it on and then like fall asleep because it's late. So you know what? It's early enough to where okay, I've decided Bug is my movie for tonight. And I will, yeah, I still gotta make dinner and shower and get my stuff ready for tomorrow. But I will manage to watch Bug and then go to sleep at a reasonable time so I can wake up early. Yeah, yeah, I will recommend one or two more things, or a couple more things probably. Poultrygeist, Night of the Chicken Dead, maybe the most offensive movie I've ever seen. But it was so dumb, but it was so funny. It's like a zombie movie, but the zombies are chickens at a fried chicken place, and it's a musical. I mean, how could you not love that? How unbelievably dumb it was. I had a great time. You know what I think guilty pleasures should be for? Not for like being ashamed that you like something silly. Like someone will say, "Oh, I like this, rom-com, but it's dumb, so it's a guilty pleasure." It's like, oh, come on, if you like it, you like it. What I think guilty pleasure should be, if something is really offensive. And it's bad and it's wrong, but you laugh at it anyway. So yeah, I think Poultrygeist would definitely fall into that category. But yeah, I had a great time with that. I watched a great movie called Oh Son, Soleil O. Its original title, I think it's originally a Hindi phrase, but it was made by this guy from what African country was he from? Dahomey, now Benin. Yeah, and he's this immigrant who makes his way to Paris looking for his ancestors, and just to live. He wants a better life. He wants a job, and it doesn't go so well. But yeah, I thought that was a great movie. Really barrier breaking in a lot of ways. Really formally bold. To not just because you can have a movie that's about taboo topics, but you deliver it in a very milquetoast way, then it lessens the impact, of course. But yeah, and yeah, Suzo River. I thought that was a beautiful movie. Kind of like one of those movies inspired by Wong Kar-wai. I thought that was really beautiful. And it's only 80 minutes too, so it's a quick watch. But you don't lose out on anything. This Buñuel movie called Elle. I don't know what the translation is. Like the English title, I forget what it was. Oh yeah, this Strange Passion was its English title, but in Spanish it's just called Elle. But I thought that was a great movie. It was really taut throughout. It's kind of like I saw it get compared to Hitchcock, and I was like, I guess. But yeah, the ending is an all-timer. It's not to spoil too much, but there's hallucinations of people laughing at a church. It's really intense. So yeah. Yeah, we'll call it there. So, thank you so much for watching / listening. I hope this video was useful for you in some way. God, I want to rewatch Elle. That was a great movie. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.